Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How's it going, Steve Morris?
It's going pretty good.
You lacking energy today?
I do. I have like a low energy morning going on.
Why?
I don't know. Zeta texted me right before we started the show and said that she thought she slept too much because she's still tired. She slept for about 11 hours.
It's a lot of sleep.
Yep.
Yeah. It sleeps weird with me. Sometimes a 20-minute nap is like the best thing ever, but if you take an hour nap, now you wake up and you're like, I'm more tired now than I was before. So there's this like fine little line there for me.
Yeah. I love naps. Before I got my sleep apparatus to help me not die every however many times an hour, I loved coming home and taking a nap. Even though it'd be like 6 or later o'clock at night, I'd still doze off for about 30 minutes to an hour.
Isn't it funny that like as kids we were like mad when our parents are like, hey, go take a nap, and you're like, no, I don't want to take a nap. And now as an adult you're like, nap should just be built into your workday.
Yeah, maybe they had it right with a siesta.
Siestas would be nice.
Yeah, I read something that said that people used to sleep for 2 cycles at night, so they'd go to bed at like 8, wake up around midnight, be up for an hour or two, and then they'd go back to sleep. I mean, it could all just be made up gobbledygook, but I mean, it seemed, it was just talking about how over time our habits have changed.
Yeah.
The advent of clocks and alarm clocks, more easily, readily available. But anyway. But like that 2 hours of people, an hour or two that people would be up, they would do things. It wasn't like you just sat there and laid in bed and like, man, I need to sleep for 4 more hours. They'd get up and do things.
Yeah, I used to like.
It could all be a lie. You know what I mean? It could just be something like, let's see if we can get some jackwagon to believe this. But it seemed interesting enough to me because sometimes if I fall asleep early, I'll wake up for a couple hours.
Yeah, I've had nights too where I can't sleep, and I'm like, all right, I might as well get up and do something because I can't sleep, and it doesn't make sense to sit here for an hour or two or lay here for an hour or two tossing and turning. And if I just get up and accomplish something,
Yeah.
I'll be really tired in the morning.
But not if it's timed right with your sleep cycles. It might not.
Yeah, I have sleep apnea, but I don't have a machine, so my sleep would probably be a lot better if I did. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not going to wear that machine. Nor do I want to pay for that machine.
I'll tell you this much, that it's made a difference for me. I haven't been able to tell. I wish I would have went when I was referred to, but because I was in the Army, I was too tough. Because everybody judges you in the military. It's like, oh, you're sick? Well, you're weak. It's like,
it would.
Like I've been up for 20 hours straight for the last 8 days. I've got no sleep. I'm super stressed out. And now that I'm sick, you're going to chastise me? I don't have time for that garbage, man. I'm so glad that that's behind me.
Can you imagine though? Like, so you have your mask on. You're over in Iraq. Something happens. You have to come out with your weapon in a hurry. You're being attacked or something, and people would be picking on you because, like, what are you going to go fly a jet, Morris?
Well, you would take it off, but you'd still have the lines on your, depending on what type of mask you have. I mean, it's pretty embarrassing. Like, I shouldn't even really be talking about it on here. Like,
lots of people have them.
I know, but it's, they say that some of it's because you need to lose weight and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. I was in pretty good shape whenever I still had no
Yeah,
energy.
and you're not really overweight. Like, I mean, for me, I feel like if I got to that 190, which is my goal weight, I feel like it would be significantly less. It still could happen. So sometimes it does. I mean, sometimes you look at a man that's 300 pounds and he's like, yeah, you're snoring, you have sleep apnea because you're so overweight. But then at the same time, that same man may lose all his weight, and we'll find out he has it just because the way things are.
Yeah, I know skinny people that have them. It's just, it's funny because Nikki never said anything to me. And then my sergeant major, when we had to bunk together somewhere, and he was like, he had to go buy earplugs. And then he was genuinely concerned that I was dying every night in my sleep. He was like, "It's not healthy. Something's wrong with you." I'm like, "Nikki never says it's that bad." So that it makes me think back to she likes to watch ID and Forensic Files. She's just slowly trying every method to get rid of me without being responsible. But anyway, like after he said that to me, whenever I left that job, because I wasn't going to go get tested while I was in that job for the reasons I already mentioned, like you'll be looked at as a weak person. So then I went my next assignment and got tested, and the guy was like, "Holy cow!" However they measure it, mine was a lot.
Yeah,
It wasn't like, "Oh, you have a mild case." It was like, "How are you sleeping, and how do you have any energy?" Which a lot of times that would affect me, like between the kidney stones and the stress, the lack of oxygen while I sleep, and lack of a full night's sleep because I'm struggling to breathe. Because that's it wakes you up because you're
like you don't know it wakes you up, but it does enough. It gets you out of
that cycle
of sleep that you need, and yeah, so it's
So I'm surprised that I'm alive right now. That's why I'm perfectly happy going and sitting in my garden 8 hours a day and not talking to anyone, just being with nature. Sometimes I'll have my headphones on, listening to some music, but
yeah, they rate it how many times you stop breathing per hour. So like when I did my study, it was 18, so it was just moderate, but severe would be, I think, anything over like 30. So yours is
mine
probably
was way over
yeah.
that. Mine was like several times a minute almost. I mean, it was way up there.
I think it's per hour.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like when you divide it out,
Right,
however
right.
it was that you divide it out,
Yeah.
I was like, is that even possible? Yeah, so I can't remember what it was, but I just remember thinking like, how have I even functioned?
So I did the cheap sleep study. It's $500. I give you the machine, take it home and do it. If you want to do the more accurate one, it's $5,000. Then this was like 7 years ago. And I'm like, okay, if I do it, I'll do the at-home one, because there's no way in hell I'm going to pay $5,000 for you to tell me that I have sleep apnea, which, pretty sure I do anyways. And yeah, the machine. And then first, it was funny because some of my Facebook friends just did this like 2 days ago or yesterday, and they asked him, as he has all the stuff on him, like, is there anything that's gonna like keep you from sleeping or whatever? And he's like, yeah, all this crap you have hooked to me.
That's how I thought it was going to be because you have to go check in at like 9 o'clock or whatever. And I'm like, I don't go to bed till midnight, 1 o'clock. Even back when I was in the military days,
Right.
I don't. I'm not a let's go to bed. It's 9 o'clock. Like if there's any hint of sunlight outside, I will not go to bed. You know what I mean? Like I'm weird. I don't know what it is, but I can't. Like I won't take a nap in bed. Like I won't go get in the bed during the weekday or during the daytime unless I'm absolutely horribly sick. So like if I take a nap, it'll be on the couch or in a chair.
Or on the floor.
On
up
the
here.
floor. Yeah.
You did, even with your mask. Well, maybe it was when you weren't wearing it because you were doing that for nights too. But I'd be here editing or doing something, and you're over there waiting for me. So usually editing, and all of a sudden I'll be like, you're snoring. I'm like, dude, it's been like 3 minutes.
I could sleep.
He's like,
I could
"Did I
sleep
fall
on command.
asleep?"
That's the thing. Is like I won't go to bed, but like I could go lay down over there right now and take a nap probably.
I mean, I could too, but you would be sleeping way, way faster.
Yeah, you kind of get trained in that. Like I don't think that has anything to do with sleep apnea. I think
It's
that
just
has to do with military.
Quick
and,
sleep
like,
now, or are you
like,
gonna?
oh my god, get some sleep in. Because while you're editing, and I'm sitting over there, there's nothing for me to do other than research for the next day, which. Like sometimes it takes you a while to edit. Like that day, I'm pretty sure I sat here, I looked up some stuff, we talked, and then I went over there, hung out with JJ. I remember you were like, "What the heck? You're already asleep."
So,
Anyway, in case you are wondering about my sleep patterns,
right. Or if Steve ever falls asleep on you, it's okay. It's just,
that's not personal.
yeah, it's just normal. It happens.
It's my sleep apnea / I got better things to do. I'm just kidding.
So, went up to the land last night, and as I do every night, put the chickens inside and feed the animals, whatever, water the garden. So I went up, and it still was actually really wet, and so I didn't water it all last night, which was nice.
Yeah, mine was still wet too.
But once again, like I keep saying, like with the rain, that natural rain, the pumpkins, zucchini is just like shot up. all those squashes you got for me that I really had my doubts if they were ever going to do anything because I'm like, sorry, dude, the ones you got me are they're just crap. Now the one that looked the worst is like, and of course I don't know what was what now, but it's branched out. It's probably half as long as this table. So and I'm looking for like little fruit or vegetables on there, and I haven't seen any yet, but they're flowering. So I'm like, oh, it's getting close, and everything looks really good now. Some tomatoes on there, not my big beautiful plants don't. They got some flowers, so they should have them soon. So I think it's just kind of early, but of course mine aren't like yours. You cut yours, and now I know why, because some of mine have gotten so big that actually like one of the branches or whatever you'd say is like on the ground now instead of in the
Yeah, you
hoop.
need to trim that, just keep the bugs off of it.
All right, so I can just cut them to. We'll
Yeah.
talk about it after, but we could trim them up maybe. But they're I mean, they're beautiful looking.
I should probably come out there and just show you. Like,
Yeah, we should do that.
I was, as I was, because I did a lot of trellising yesterday, because I got 4 84-foot rows of tomatoes, and so I got all the posts in. I still got some. I'm doing the Florida weave, so I still got some to do, but I trimmed all of those. And then last night I was trimming one because you're not supposed to trim determinate like you do indeterminate because they kind of like set themselves. Determinate means they stop growing at a certain height.
Right.
And so as I was trimming one, I was like, man, this just didn't feel right, like it didn't look the same as the other ones. And I have some of those replacement plants that I bought, and it was a bush Goliath, which I got from, I don't know, somewhere.
So it's supposed to get big.
So it's supposed to, you're not supposed to trim it like I did.
Oops.
So it's partner, because I have, you usually try to buy in pairs just to make sure that they, crossbreed or whatever. Anyway, I don't think that's the right term, pollinate. So the other one's fine, but as I was trimming it, like it just didn't feel right, and so then I was like, oh, it's from the store. So I picked it up and I was like, God dang it, it's a determinate.
Oops.
So I'm sure it'll grow back because it looked healthy and everything else, but most of my time yesterday was spent getting the ones off because some of the leaves are growing down, especially on like my heirloom, like they're long, and so I trimmed those, and so it's almost like it looks like a tree now. So this bottom is very clear, so I can weave it to help.
All right, so after the show, I have to go to the land anyways because I got to move dirt today. Not at the land, but I need to get the excavator. But anyways, you have to go up with me and look at these. Of course, I feel like I'm going to be like a little panic because you start cutting them, and I'll be like,
Oh, trust me, you might panic because some of the suckers grew in the last 6 days and already had flowers coming out on them, and I feel bad when I do that, but I want it to go to the main plant. I want all the energy focused on the main portion. Now, a month from now, I may not cut off all the suckers because at that point I'm just going to be looking for as much production as I can, but right now I want it to get as healthy and as big.
all right, you'll have to come up because these things are they've grown high.
And you
but
want the
out.
air to flow through them too, so that the
Yeah, so you have to come up.
leaves aren't just sitting there moist all day, even though you got plenty of sunshine. But
So I have, I think, five cucumber plants. I think 5. And I went up last night and because I've seen 2 that were growing and whatever, and I was like, I have a picture actually. I'll show everybody. I picked these last night. I was so super proud. I mean, the plants grew them, but
yeah,
whatever.
that's good.
Some of them are actually really good size because see, Andrea's picking them because they're the little prickly ones, which I like. And Andrea's picking them like pretty small. She's like, well, no, they're supposed to be like, as you see, some of these are pretty nice size. One of them, so I set them on this pallet.
Are they the pickling cucumbers?
They got the prickles on them. I don't
That
know.
doesn't necessarily mean. That just means that
Yeah.
you don't have a hybrid.
Yeah.
Because even mine
They're,
last year,
they're,
like,
I think they're heirloom though because these are the ones from Kevin and
Oh
Michelle.
yeah, so they're probably.
Yeah. So now how would I get seeds out of that? I got to dry one up,
Yeah, well, I think
or can you just take the seeds out of a normal one?
you can take the seeds out,
Because it would
let
be
them
nice
dry, like
to
set them
save
on
some
like a paper
seeds.
towel, then transfer them over.
Because I'd love to save some seeds out of one of these to have for next year.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of seeds from last year. My problem is they all got mixed in together, and so like
Uh,
Like if I had a composting pile, I would go out there and throw everything out there and that and see what all
Yeah.
came up. But because I don't have that, I still have them. They're dried out. And, you know, some of them you can tell, like squash and tomato. You just don't know what kind of tomato it is because I had, I don't know, 8 varieties of tomato last year.
So there's one of those, so as you saw there on the pallet, it was just to keep them off the ground, which maybe you could show me some of the, because the squash, one of them that vined out, is really low. It's like, well, low to the ground. It's on the ground. So I don't know if there's some trick to that to make it better. But anyways, one of the cucumbers had grown down inside of the pallet. I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna get this out. And luckily I was able to like break, off, and I was able to reach in because I'm like, I'm gonna rip this pallet apart and get this cucumber out of here. But no, I was so excited to have like cucumbers from the garden. And then also my friend was telling me that, I guess, because I said to her, I was like, I want to plant more potatoes, but I don't have any sprouts right now. So I'm like, and she says it's not really a way to accelerate the sprout like that, which sucks because usually if you go to my house, and most houses, actually, if any listeners out there have any potatoes in their
Pantry
that they're like, oh, these are junk because they're sprouted, I would love to take them so I could plant them. But she was saying, well, you can actually plant potatoes because I've seen them in big tire things. You can do in baskets. There's tons of things.
5-gallon buckets.
Yeah, but you can actually do them in the winter in your house, and they'll grow because she said that unlike cucumbers and stuff, they don't have to pollinate, and so it must be because it's a root vegetable, which is exciting. So I was like, maybe I could at some point have a couple of them in the winter even. So I thought that was pretty cool because I love potatoes. Potatoes are my favorite vegetable. It's a starch. It's not good for me, but it's if I ask anybody, potatoes are. I'd have steak and potatoes. Andrea will make some great green beans with garlic. She does a good job with it. And then she'd be like, why didn't you eat green beans? Because I'd rather spend the room in my stomach for the potatoes. Because she makes the best mashed potatoes since my grandmother Beard. And I never could figure out what my grandmother Beard did. But I think it is because she used the cream from the milk from the actual farm. I think that was the difference.
That's probably.
And Andrea uses sour cream, which would be similar. Because my grandmother's mashed potatoes were, if I could go back in time for anything right at this point, I would go back to when I was a kid to have my grandmother's mashed potatoes.
That's awesome.
They were that, yeah.
I just told a similar story to my mom the other day, reminiscent about her mom, my grandma, her mom's blackberry cobbler. There was nothing. I mean, don't get me wrong, the food and everything was good, but I told you the story where I'd have to eat the black-eyed peas holding my nose and everything. But went to get to the blackberry cobbler with a little bit of Bluebell ice cream. That's a good memory.
I remember.
And I love my mom's mashed potatoes. I love Nikki's too, but something about my mom's. We put cheese on ours.
Nice. I love mashed potatoes. I mean, I like baked potatoes, mashed potatoes, twice baked potatoes. I mean,
I'm telling you, the Adirondack Blues, those are good potatoes. They have a slightly different taste to them, but you can kind of tell.
We'll try them. You can have plenty of them.
I gave you 5 or 4, right? Some of them were kind of dried out.
Oh yeah, I thought you.
I remember I brought a package over because I forgot to plant them.
Are they too dry though? I think
not all of them. There should be a couple.
All right. Anyways,
I'll be able to spot them when I go over there. I'll be able to tell by the stems.
I'll warn you, there's an electric fence around my garden now.
It works. Is this the same electric fence that didn't keep the cattle in?
Nope. This is a brand new one that I bought for the cattle, and then the goat pushed over the dog kennel fence that I use for the pigs into it, and which will ground it out. And so I just said, screw it. Took the brand new one, brought it to the garden, and I was like, well, they're staying in here at this point anyway, so screw it. But as of right now, I have my tractor next to the fence because they've pushed it over enough, trying to get to the grass on the outside. So I need to fix that. So when I leave, I need to grab that auger today. I meant to do that a week ago, but then I got my UV blanket that I want to put over for the cows. And so I just got to put a couple posts in, cement them real well, and then I'll run.
Do you have the posts?
Nah, I
have some.
I see it's some.
But I grabbed them. We can take those over there.
All right, I'll figure it out.
Get some reclaimed wood.
Put them in, cement them in good. Then I'm just going to run cables across, and then I'll just use carabiners so they can slide. And that way, you know, I don't know what the weather will be like the rest of the year. We've had a hot spell here, so this could change and not go back, or it could go back. So, but that way they have some shade too, because right now they can't go in the barn because of construction there. So, but and then I should sometime this week I should have my UV blankets for my garden. I'll do the same thing there, so that way that I think they're the ones I got were 60% or 50% or something like that. So, yeah. Last little bit of information before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show.
Ba-dum-bum.
Ba-dum-bum. So Lydia last night, she comes downstairs from, I don't know what she wanted to do upstairs. The kids' bathroom's upstairs. So, and she comes down and she's like, "Oh, I got a tooth out." Okay, cool. Sure, baby tooth, it's normal. And she's sitting there, and all of a sudden, she's like, "Oh, I got like another one that probably come out too." I don't know. She goes to the bathroom downstairs, and literally like a minute later, she's like, "Oh, see, I told you, 2 teeth. I've never seen a kid lose 2 teeth in one night." And she's like, "Well, I got a third one. It'd probably really hurt though if I took it out." I'm like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, stop!" But I've never seen a kid take 2 teeth out at once. I mean, one, yeah, of course.
Especially at that age.
Yeah, she's 13. Like, now, it's good because they needed to come out because she has a tooth here, and her teeth are like crooked, but it's like, well, it's because this tooth needs, So it's almost like, I don't know if you necessarily need braces, but maybe like an Invisalign or something might be enough. Now that with those 2 teeth gone, whatever. I was just like, how the hell did you just get 2 teeth out like that? And literally in a minute, just went in the bathroom, like,
Yeah, I mean, they have a Christmas song. All I want for Christmas is my front 2 teeth. So
2 front teeth.
or 2 front teeth.
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Luckily, these are side teeth and not front teeth, but
Yeah.
and I asked her,
Usually you lose those first. They're
Yeah.
pretty young.
yeah. So I was just that was kind of the crazy story of the night at my house because I just was like, how did you do that so quick? Like, I mean, one, yeah, all right, it was loose, whatever, but then the other one just like, whoop, pop that one out. I'm like, damn, that ain't good. Your teeth is gonna start falling out now. Go home today.
I mean, as a Lydia, I would make jokes, but they wouldn't even be funny because she's a good kid. But
That's true.
you know what I'm saying? Like when you have teeth falling out like that, that's usually a joke of.
Yeah. No,
She's a good kid.
she is. All right, so I put 2 positions of the day down today because one was yesterday after we did the show, and then today's. So they need a special education para for the middle school, and then a special education teacher. So we're at July 27th. We still need a lot of positions at the school. Hopefully we can get these filled.
Yeah, it's not just our school. It's,
Oh, no,
it's across
I know.
the country.
It is. I've actually
It
seen
goes back to like, what's everybody doing? Right? Like
We've asked the question a million times.
as a country, we had plenty of teachers. At least it seemed as if we
Right.
did 3 or 4 years ago, and now
Yeah.
it's not just our town struggling. It's
Every town's struggling with. I mean, as Martin was saying, like math teachers are a rarity now, and it's like that's great, like you need a math teacher, right? I don't know, but those are the positions for today, and then they're still gonna. I'll talk about these tomorrow, but track clinic Wednesday, August 3rd, so next Wednesday for 7th to 8th graders at the track from 6 to 8. No charge, and there's some alumni coming from the school, I guess, to put on a clinic. And so, if you're a student that is interested in track or does track, this would be a nice little check it out in the fall. Might get you excited for when the springtime comes. Actually, I think they do a winter track too of some sort. I believe they have a winter track, indoor, obviously, but I just remember that. I think
Zeta never mentioned it, but I mean, she was
but she
doing
played basketball.
So
I'm pretty sure they did an indoor track. Yeah, pretty sure. Farmers market, 3 to 6 every Friday. Now is the time. This is the time of year, really, when you go down and there's tons of produce. So we're definitely going to go this Friday because we're going to be on vacation next week. We're going up to Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, and we want to go down and get a bunch of fresh produce there instead of buying it at a store. So if you need fresh produce, go here, support your local farmers. Don't give your money to the big grocery store that doesn't really care about you as a person.
Hey, they filled in the potholes with some dirt.
Did they?
Just dirt.
I texted Chief the other day, actually his last day in Newport. I said, hey, congrats on your last day, whatever. And I said, well, me and Steve are going to go down and plant a tree in one of those potholes, and then like have dispatch send you down there and stuff. But I was like, it's too hot for this crap, and it would just take too much effort. And he's like, no, I appreciate that, because apparently it was a busy day, and I'm sure his last day was a busy day, And then I saw that, man, I don't know their last name, so I kind of feel like an idiot, but Christy Whipple's dad, who's now interim police chief, I saw she posted that he got sworn in and stuff, which is amazing. Actually, he looks so much like Christy, which, I mean, her dad would make sense, but congratulations for him. I don't know what the plan is there, if it's just going to be an interim thing, something he wants to do long term.
I saw something, I think it said interim.
Yeah, I know he's interim. He's not the chief. He's an interim one for now. But someone I believe that's been in our area for a long time, and seems like a good fit for what we need for now. But yeah, I text Chief, and it was funny. That would have been awesome. That one right out there by the stop sign when you come in, that's where I wanted to plant it and put a little tag on it. From the Tim and Steve show or something like that.
For Chief Wilmot.
Yeah, maybe even put a cone in front of it just so no one, don't want to cause an accident. But you easily could have planted a tree in that. That was
there's a few of them.
Hole. People that complain about on What's Up Newport, and it's funny, Todd Fratz is like, well, good luck, because it's a company out of Mass that apparently doesn't care about the potholes, because, I mean, the parking lot's horrible.
It's horrible.
It's time to pave
been like
it.
that for a year.
It's time to pave the whole parking lot,
Yeah.
which I get it. It's expensive, but still, you run a store. Come on.
Yeah, that's like the center of town,
Yeah.
and it's not just one store. You have that whole entire.
Yeah, and you have an obligation to the whole plaza, like the new MMA place. Like, okay, they're paying rent. You should provide a good parking lot.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And it hasn't been paid. It's been a long time since it's paid. They seal coated it, I remember, at one point. I remember Twin State Paving seal coating across the street, I believe it was. But, so they should reach out to Twin State Paving and be like, hey, want to pave our parking lot? Or at least have them go in there and patch sections that are bad or something, because
Like that whole
the whole driving
left side
section
and the right side
Yeah.
going down towards the MMA. It's
like you can't even miss the pot. It's hard to miss
Yeah.
the potholes.
And if traffic's coming, you have to stop
Yeah,
or go off the road,
right.
which I don't even know. I mean, it's
hard. Yeah,
not even mowed that well over there.
no.
Shaw's needs to step up their game and have some pride.
True. I wish I had thought of this back when they wanted the variance to have another sign on their building on zoning board, because I'm like, and I wouldn't obviously done it.
This is like,
But I
got
would have mentioned it, saying, well, I'm a little concerned that you have no problem putting a sign up, which will get right up, but and the little signs you put out in your parking lot, but you don't seem to pave your parking lot. It's kind of a hazard to us in the town. That would have been a good wake up. Then it probably would have happened. But
Should look that up and find out, because it can't be corporate Shaw's, right? It's got to be.
so, what it would be is if it was corporate Shaw's that owned it, which isn't actually Shaw's. It's been, my grandma has worked there for years, and she's since retired, but it's switched owners a few different times. But there's a big company name, or a company name you don't know.
Is there any space for rent there? Because then we could always just call up
There's space for rent.
that number and be like, I'm interested, but the parking lot looks like a war zone.
Or maybe we could just call it and be like, hey, this is Tim and Steve from the Tim and Steve show, and
We're going to go down
concerned
and
about
start.
we're concerned about the parking lot down in Shaw's, and we
We
don't know
do
if
a
we could talk to
live
someone.
broadcast.
We don't know if we could talk to someone about that because we have residents that are concerned
Yeah.
for their safety.
Yeah, for their car safety too. Like, start sending them a bill, because I'm pretty sure.
Or a motorcycle or bicycle,
Yeah, or if you're just walking through there,
Or you're
that
walking,
car has to
trip.
dodge, or they're not really paying attention.
you have one elderly person that falls out there because the parking lot's screwed up. They're totally going to get sued and lose. So
Yeah, because you have a whole town like, this parking lot hasn't been taken care
Exactly.
of. They literally filled these holes with dirt.
Right.
Like it's, I mean, it's type whatever,
Yeah, it's probably like, yeah.
like you had delivered at your house. It's not
Yeah.
pure dirt, but it's got some rocks in there. But it's
Right.
not. The first time it rains heavily again, it's
Yeah.
going to wash right out.
Yeah. So they could have Twin State go pave it. They could at least have in a temporary. They could have Cassie Infrared or North American Infrared go over and like heat the spots up like T-Bird just did like a week ago. T-Bird over in Guile had a few spots that were holes, whatever. And they went and fixed them. Just heat them up, boom, done. Piece of cake. Yeah.
Come on, Shaws.
Yeah. The hell. Concert Uncommon this Sunday, 6 to 8. Party Crashers. And then the 69th annual Shrine Maple Bowl is August 6th, so next Saturday. And Devin Hano's going to be in that from Newport.
Supposed to be going, but Nikki thinks she may be working, so I don't know.
On a Saturday?
Well, she's starting a new job.
She's going to work Saturdays now?
Yeah, she's going to be. I don't know what her assigned days are yet. She hasn't reported to work, but they need a lot of help, so there'll be lots of extra shifts for her to pick up. And Nikki's not afraid to pick up some shifts. Like she likes working on holidays. Like anything to get away from me.
Did you crack the whip? Like, listen, I need batteries. I need
batteries. I need
garden stuff.
garden supplies.
You go work 7 days a week.
We need a new kitchen, new bathroom. I need my sewer line checked out.
They don't worry about that so much. And then we'll mention it one last time. Steve might need this.
I had to get that plug.
So, is an important PSA. Is there a new suicide prevention number is 988. No more 1-800 or whatever. So if you're ever having thoughts like that, this is a number you can call and talk to somebody. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
People care about you.
People care about you, and I know someone that lost a loved one due to suicide, and every year, like on a date, like he shares a post on Facebook that's, kind of why. Like, I think it was anger at first, and it's just sadness for him. Like, he was very close to this person, and it's sad because sometimes people feel that you feel hopeless. But, like, I always try to think to myself, and I know when you're in a situation that you don't think clear, obviously, but no matter what your situation is, if you're here and everything is just completely gone to hell for you, and, in Newport or wherever you're from, like, and you're like, I can't do it anymore. I want to end my life. Like, just get in your car and leave. Leave. Go, if you're in Newport, go to another state. Start all over again. You can do that, because
it might not be easy, but you can do it.
Like, you can leave your past here, the bad stuff here, and you can go somewhere else and like, hey, I'm just going to rebuild. You know what I'm saying? Because let's face it, all these are temporary issues. But then, if you kill yourself, it's permanent. There's no
you got
coming
one
back from
life to live, and there's all kinds of
Yeah.
good and bad things that happen. But
And somebody out there cares about you, whether you think they do or not, whether it's family members or friends or, it's going to affect somebody, that, so it's like reach out. So new number, 988, if you're ever in that situation. So
definitely.
please do, All right, I think I have two memes. Which one do I want to do first? Yeah, I'll do this one first. So it all started with bicycle helmets, and now it's everyone gets a trophy, and kids don't know what it's like to feel pain when they do something stupid. Stupid shit hurt. I remember, and I'm not anti-bicycle helmet. That was when I was a kid, bicycle helmets started to become a big thing because bicycle helmets are smart. But also what started when I was a kid is everyone gets a trophy, and that for sure is where it all went wrong, because there are winners and losers in life, and you need to know that. And if everybody always gets a trophy, nobody knows how to lose, nobody knows how to win, and this is what you have right now, a bunch of entitled little a-holes out there that think that the world owes them something. Nope.
Yeah, everybody wants to take a pill, too, to get rid of pain. Like, no, you worked outside in your garden for 8 hours yesterday, and your back hurts because you were bent over, trimming and everything else. You don't need a pill. You need to roll your back out, stretch out a little bit, and maybe take it easy.
It's the same thing.
But you know what I mean? Everybody's like, well,
Yes.
what am I going to take?
Pharmaceutical
I
companies.
have this on good authority, by the way. This isn't made up stuff. Like,
Me as
this
well.
is what I hear,
Mm-hmm.
from the stories of
Yeah.
those in the medical profession. Like sometimes,
Everyone wants a pill for something.
now don't get me wrong, sometimes you need one. You know what I mean? Like I like when I
Yes.
have a kidney stone, like I like to not feel as bad as I do. But if I don't, I can, because I've passed so many, I can handle it. But
Right. But there's a time and a
and
place, right?
when I can't, then I go to the emergency room and
You know, your toe hurts. Probably don't need Vicodin. Kidney stone. You probably need something stronger, which is acceptable. And you know, and of course with the opioid crisis before COVID, of course, you know, now someone that needs that medication, it's like an act of God to get it because some people abused it. Which I'm like, well, the pharmaceutical companies are responsible for all this to start with because all they do is push drugs. That's all they do. Oh, you're feeling sad? Here, take this drug. Well, but I'm feeling sad because my dog died. Oh, just take this drug.
well, that's natural. That's called grieving. And
Exactly.
Your body and soul needs that. Let it
But, like-
tear out in private.
Well, one of the so if you take this medication for depression, so one of the side effects is you could potentially start to feel suicidal. Then why the hell are you giving it to me? I'm already depressed. You want to give me something that potentially may push me the other direction? Like, no, you don't need a pill. Sit down and talk to someone. Really, talk out your problems. Like, it's amazing how much talking helps because we always hold everything inside, right? And I think guys are even more apt to do it. Like, hold things in, don't want to talk about things. I know I'm horrible with it. Like, I had like a good long talk with Andrea last night, which was really good because like I just don't talk. Like, I'm just
Yeah,
just
this
me.
is the most I talk on any given day
Yeah.
is on this show.
So it's like you don't need a pill, and some people do.
Some people do.
Some people do.
exactly. I'm with you. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but you know, it's funny the baby because she's a baby. Well, she's two. She'll always be my baby, but she'll have a bug bite or something, and she'll be like, "Medicine, need medicine." And Andrea's like, "No, you don't. You're not getting medicine."
Don't scratch it or scratch it. And
But some of it's funny because as babies, it's hard to like. Okay, you have a fever. You need to take this medicine, and if they don't like the taste of it, they don't like
yeah,
it.
'cause then
They-
you're tricking them.
They don't want to take it. And then you get them to where they'll take it, and then, like, I need medicine. My belly hurts. I need medicine. I'm like, your blood doesn't hurt.
Drink a 7-Up.
All right, here's another one. This one's pretty serious, too. I'm sick of having my paycheck taxed nearly in half, then paying taxes on everything I buy, which in New Hampshire, not necessarily true, but most states, yes, and only to see it sent to other states.
Other countries.
Excuse me, other countries. Yeah. If it was just sent to other
I'm pretty sure I've
states,
said that exactly. I'm glad. Maybe
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw that on the internet or something. But I mean, there's a lot of us that feel that way.
You don't have to see it. You feel it every day. Like, no, I've seen this, but we've said it a million times. How is it we work, you tax everything. Everything. You tax
Everything.
Everything. And then you send it to other countries and say the hell of the United States. It's treason.
It's
It's asinine too, but it's freaking
the
treason.
problem is we all got comfortable loving our great country and the freedoms that we have, that we just trusted that people were doing the right thing, and some nefarious people got in and have been undermining our
Yes.
constitutional republic ever since.
Yeah. They all need to go.
Yeah, we need the great reset of politicians.
Right.
Vote them all out and get some. I mean, you don't need. I'm old school. Like, you don't need to be learned, educated to do the right thing. Yeah, you might not speak or write poetically, and you know what I mean. But like, if your intentions are good and your heart's in the right place to try to do good, do well, do right by people.
I want to clarify something I said the other day.
I need to clarify something too, so I'll let you go first.
All right. So the other day when I said
I'll let you.
that
As executive producer, I've given you.
as the senior person on the show,
Oh, That's age.
So the other day I said that I was sick of old white men running this country, or women. And one of my listeners, our listeners, see, look at that, I just did it too. Our listeners, he messages quite often. He sent this thing too, and I wanted to like clarify because I'm like, I think he didn't misunderstand because I'm sure he knows exactly what I was saying, but he was just saying there's a lot of knowledge in old white men, and we'll all be old white men or black men or brown, whatever call you, like we'll all be old men or women at some point. So I was like, no. He's like, misunderstand. All I'm saying is people that have been in politics since 1975, Chuck Schumer, who's never had a real job, who's an old white man, needs to vacate and go do something else and let the next generation of people come in and have their fair shake at this stuff.
Yeah, you said old white men because that's
Yeah.
the trope that's always on the media is that it's
Right.
old white men that are the downfall of society trying
Right.
to make. And in some cases, that's true, right?
Right.
Like
I'm
you
just
and I
saying,
sitting here talking about, you know, a topic that we may not be experts on, like with women or something, right? Like we can have our opinions, but that's all they are.
right. So I'm not saying if you're a 75-year-old white male that you shouldn't run for Congress and you've never been there before.
Right. What
I'm
what you meant
saying-
was the tenured,
Yes.
been there for more than 2 elections and hasn't ever done anything. They talk a good talk. They write some angry letters.
Yeah, those people need to go.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
think
not-
I think there's a lot of people that are realizing they've gotten bamboozled on both sides of the aisle, right? Because
I hope so.
with the response to the Roe v. Wade ruling, all the Democrats, not all, but a lot of them, you saw it make
Oh.
its wave across the internet was, oh, donate harder so we can work on it. And it's like, well, you're all in charge.
Well, don't get too crazy into that because I have a story I want to talk about.
No, but I'm
So
going
anyways,
down the rabbit hole. What your take was, if you've been there more than 2 elections, you need to go.
Yeah,
Term limits.
right.
Doesn't matter your race,
No,
your gender.
I don't care about any of that.
It matters with tenured, so
Right.
that's your correction.
But it's the same people that,
In this case, you were specifically talking about old white men, such as Schumer, the turtle-looking guy, McConnell.
Connell, Nadler, Penguin, Bernie Sanders.
Or if you've allegedly slept with a Chinese spy, because he's kind of young.
He is young. He's like 40s. That's a red flag, too, if you're sleeping with a Chinese spy.
Or if a Chinese spy is your driver for 20 years, then maybe you should
That's kind of a red flag, too.
be discredited from running. Like
Or any spy. Doesn't have to be Chinese.
your
spy.
own state should be like, hey, we're going to have to go ahead and pull the plug on this. You basically gave away secrets for the last 20 years every time you talked in your car. And that's like on the low end of,
We're actually going to, like, have a congressional hearing to see if maybe you know,
did
know about
you
this,
know
or-
how long? Are you being blackmailed?
Right.
Do they have some dirt on you that one day they may not have done anything yet, but they have a trump card, so to speak?
Whoa, don't use that word. You'll trigger people.
Okay, so my correction is yesterday when I said freedom isn't free was a South Park. And I looked it up, and it was Freemium Isn't Free as the South Park episode, but there is a song, Freedom Isn't Free, by the creators of South Park. So that's why, in my mind, I credit it to South Park, but it was from Team America. So there is a song out there, and it's from Team America. So just to get that correction out there, that I had the creators right, I had the voices correct, I just had the shows mixed up. It was Team America. Freedom isn't free.
See how
And
serious
it's got some cuss words in it, so
But see how serious you are about making sure that you clarify things like that. Now, if this was the mainstream media, you could have said it was Barney, and they would have ran with it and said, "Yep, Barney said that." All right.
they would have fact checked me and been like, "There's no such thing," and
Yes.
but then like it's so close to it that it's the same writers and voices, so I could see how he could make that mistake. But you're right, that's one of those cases where they'd be like, they'd fact check me and no, it's freemium. There's no such thing. You know, I'm 1 degree of separation from the actual. Anyway, so Freedom Isn't Free is from Team America. And Freemium Isn't Free is an episode on South Park.
Perfect. So I don't know how to say this story, except this is how I'm going to say it. So I'm going to call this the asshole of the day story. I have to find it. Nope, wrong one. There it is.
A-hole or jackwagon?
Straight up a-hole. So lawmaker votes against same-sex marriage and then attends gay son's wedding. So
he has no real conviction.
Right, he's just an a-hole. Glenn Thompson, he's a representative for Pennsylvania. So now I will clarify something about this bill. So basically it's a protection of, or what was the name actually of the bill? Saw it here somewhere. The Respect for Marriage Act. So basically, Democrats are trying to pass a bill in Congress and then the Senate to protect gay marriage because they feel like the Supreme Court might go after that next, which I have absolutely no problem with this bill.
Well, see, the Supreme Court's not going to go after it unless there is a
Right.
law that somebody is challenging or a...
Right, you have to go to court. They just don't
Right.
look
They
at
don't
stuff.
just look at stuff and be like, all right, we're scratching this from the books.
Right, yeah.
There has to be
a lawsuit.
a case.
Or,
Yeah.
Yes, so, yeah. Anyways, so some of this bill...
As far as I know, unless, they're rewriting.
I don't believe so,
But
yeah.
they're not
So-
going after it, per se.
Basically, this bill is, once again, another thing like, Biden and the Democrats when they passed the anti-lynching law, and no one's been lynched since 60 or something. It's just a feather in their invisible little hat. Like, so the country's going so bad that now they're like, oh, we got to win some points because you can't afford to drive the gas there to the voting. This November.
That's how they're going to get mail-in ballots. Is you're not going to be able to afford gas.
That's a good idea. Shh. Someone could hear that, and they'd be like, that's a good idea. So anyways, this guy was one of 157 Republicans that voted no for this. But for me, you're just an a-hole because you literally then a couple days later went to your son, 2 days later, went to your son's wedding, and he's gay and he's marrying, and you should have voted yes for the bill. Like, this is what I'm talking about, the whole party line bullshit. Like, what a hypocrite.
I mean,
I don't care, man. If I was this guy's son, I'd be like, you know what, you're not coming to my wedding. You can't stand up for, if anything, you should stand up for your son in that aspect. Like I said, it's not only these bills that Democrats are just trying to win back something because they've lost everywhere else. So, everything's going wrong.
they need to win our money back and our oil production.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Speaking of oil production, here's a story. It's not even a story. It's just a headline I took. Massive gas pipeline spill in U.S. discovered by teens riding ATVs. So the story is actually from 2020, but apparently they had an update. There's a new report that dramatically updated the initial estimates how much fuel was spilled. So it's just another thing because...
do they realize, like, up until 1980, people were dumping their oil in backyards and sewer or,
Yep. Exactly.
Storm drains? Like, up until, 20 years ago.
Yep. Yeah. So...
But I'm not justifying it or anything else, but,
But the
to act
timing...
like...
But the timing of the story from 2020 that they updated the amount that was spilled now... Now it's letting me throw in that it's a headline, right? Because we're trying to push electric energy.
This is where the fact checkers would fact check you and I if we were saying this and be like, "That happened in 2020. This is old news."
Yeah.
They're just trying to bring up.
Except this one they won't because it fits the narrative.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
They'll fact check me with my whole theory that I mentioned incorrectly.
Right.
I mean, I corrected it myself, but like if they were to fact check it, they would. I know. Well, I read like 7 of them, so I know how they word it. But in this case, they would fact check us if we published that article
Yep.
saying this was from 2 years ago. It's 4 Pinocchios because it's old news. They're trying to generate something from the past that is past us.
Yeah.
Proving once again that it's propaganda, and if you don't go with what they want you to talk about, then you're not really welcome on their websites or their. It's probably why some of our stuff's been getting tooled around with a little bit.
Yeah. YouTube's a joke when it comes to that. So our subscribers are over 1,000, which a lot of them are just bots or whatever the hell they do. But then, so once you're over 1,000 subscribers and 1,000 watch hours, they monetize your show, which could be a penny for 1 million views. I don't know. I have no clue. But
Hey, man, we're almost up to a penny then.
right. So we
Over 60 episodes.
85. Well, yeah, 85 videos on our show. So between Chief and all the other all
Yeah,
that.
that's true.
So there's like 85 videos on there. But anyway, so the watch hours was like 700 or something a couple of weeks ago when I looked at it. Cause I was like, oh, that's close. Subscribers was so low. I'm like, But then I look at the other day because I was like, oh, we're over 1,000, and the watch hours are like 483. I'm like,
They dropped.
yeah, it's not even possible.
Unless it's a it's a rolling average of the last 30 days or something.
I don't know.
That would make sense, I guess. But
Crooked bastards. But we won't badmouth them too much. 'Cause we don't,
or we're just not that interesting.
well, that could be too, but I like to think it's Facebook or YouTube is crooked.
Yeah, we can blame it. I like to blame throw.
You're going to like this story. I think, anyways. Loch Ness Monster declared as plausible by scientists after new discovery. Listen, these are the things that.
So this is what. So for 30, 40 years, if you thought you saw some anomaly in the sky that your brain can't recognize because you've seen satellites, comets, all this other stuff, right? And you're like, man, that's it. That I saw something crazy. Or you have a picture, and of course it just comes out as a blur. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a wackadoo if you believe in spaceships or UFOs or whatever they're calling them now, unidentified, whatever they are.
Yeah.
And now Nellie is, if you believe in Nellie, you might actually have been correct.
Nessie.
Sorry.
Champ is the same thing, but in the Lake Champlain. A little different, but so I've always been fascinated by this because if you look at this picture on here, which is like the classic, I mean was it a Paleodon? Which is a Paleodon? Let me double check before I freaking say something wrong.
It passes through a parallel dimension through the tachyons.
Plesiosaurus, right? Is that what that Plesiosaurus?
Yeah.
So I've been fascinated since I was a kid because there's a theory like that would be a dinosaur from back then that got trapped in there, and I don't know how it would still be alive necessarily, but so everyone for years has been like, yeah, no, it's impossible. So anyways, they found fossils of small Plesiosaurus, plesio, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have, you know how all dinosaurs have the thing next to it? It says how to pronounce it. It doesn't have that.
Plesiosaurus.
Plesiosaurus.
It's close enough for us.
Plesiosaurus. Were located in a river system dig, which led researchers of the University of Bath making the claim that it's possible. So they discovered fossils in Morocco, which is in Spain, right? Or no, Morocco is its own country.
Yeah, it's south of Spain.
South of Spain.
Africa, right?
We have to brush up on our freaking geology.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's south of Spain, but
It's near Spain, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about all the movies you've seen, where's a map of Morocco? Yeah, see,
All right,
part of Africa.
It's in
but
Africa, so above
south of
Algeria,
Spain. So I
south of
was
Spain.
right.
All right.
You're
So
right too.
it's close to it, but it is in Africa, the continent, not Europe. But okay, cool. Now I feel a little better. So Yeah, so they've dug up little
Gotta have more
fossils.
confidence. Both of us seemed kind of iffy there.
Iffy on it, yeah. The fossil located reportedly included bones and teeth from an estimated 9.8 foot adult plesiosaurus, as well as an arm bone, which is 4.9.
Well, just because they found a fossil doesn't mean that it was actually up in.
Well, no, because what amazed me is that the ancient Moroccan river contained as many carnivores, all living along each side. So, because the loch is freshwater, they're trying to say that it's not possible for it to live there. But we also know with like bull sharks, which are saltwater, can live in freshwater too.
Well, there was a beluga well in the Schuylkill River, or Schuylkill, however you pronounce it, there in
Really?
Philly a few years back.
So
I know that because I watched some, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily know that story, but somebody was telling a story that was big on the news
listen, if you
in Philly
right,
15 years ago, whenever it was.
if you believe in Loch Ness Monster, all these years you've been called a friggin' conspiracy theorist or whatever, I just want to say to those people, F you.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I mean,
I'm just thinking one particular person, but no. So I think it's pretty cool. So it's just a cool little story.
oh, well, so it's saying that it's possible that
Plausible.
they could live
Yes.
in freshwater. So it's not necessarily that you're redeemed for thinking that that's a picture of an actual plesiosaurus type creature in the Loch Ness.
No, skeptics of Nessie existence have argued that the prehistoric Plesiosaurus lineage could have survived into the modern era, while believers argue that the massive reptile was able to live in a suitable freshwater environment as the famed Scottish loch. So, yeah, because they found him in the river. So that's pretty cool. I just like the story because I like these things.
Well, we still got to put that anomaly that Zeta recorded. We need to put that up on the show this
Yeah.
week at some point. Just got to
At some point this week, we do get
edit out some of the
you
reactions.
Yes, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, because she saw some really.
I mean, it was interesting, because there's a comet passing by, but if you watch the live feed of the comet, because you can do that, in this day and age, it doesn't look the same.
No, it was definitely weird.
And so after the flash left, then there were 3 bright lights left behind that didn't move. It's interesting. We'll play it. I just gotta. There's some cuss words on there from some of the people that saw it, reacting.
I would have told him. Yeah. All right. So this next bill. This is something else that pisses me off. But so Democrats push bill that would impose term limits on Supreme Court justices.
They need to impose term limits on themselves first.
That's the problem. The people that need the term limits are the ones that write the laws, so it's hard to get that to happen. It just needs to be on the ballot in November, and everyone votes on it, because I think it would pass at like 95% probably.
For the change and
For term limits of Congress and senators.
I think it has to be does it have to be an amendment to the Constitution? Because I don't think the Constitution.
But there's no term limits in the Constitution.
Yeah, but we'd pass an amendment for
President.
term limits for the president. But that was a
Right.
constitutional amendment, if I
Right.
recall.
Right. Yeah.
Even though I couldn't remember
After FDR. Yeah.
the Bill of Rights the other day,
So this is
or the order.
this is their plan. So basically every 2 years they'd appoint new justices. So a president would have his first term and his first year in office and his third year in office, a new justice. So this is just another way them try to backwards
So
pack the
then-
court.
So whatever political party allegedly is
Yes.
in charge, they get their
All their
for 4 years. Basically, their
Right.
stuff will be approved in the next whatever. They all need to just be constitutionalists. They all need to look at how the Constitution's written, and if it doesn't apply and it's not addressed, then send it back down to the states.
here's the other thing. This is where I want
Seems pretty simple to me.
go off on this thing here is, I mean, besides the fact that there should be term limits for all the politicians in Washington, but right now the Democrats control the presidency, they control the Senate, and they control the House. So if you're so pissed off about Roe versus Wade, which is where this all comes from, then why don't you introduce a bill to legalize abortion in all 50 states, because you have all three branches, you have everything you need, right? So do it. But the reality is you're not going to do it, and you don't want to do it. You want to push the rhetoric that, oh, these justices took away your rights. And no, they didn't. 50 years ago, it never should have happened. First of all, she lied. She wasn't raped, I believe, or something.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, there's like all kinds of
She came out
competing-
after and said that the whole story was made up.
And then I think she came out and said that was made up. So it's
Yeah.
I don't
So,
know, probably whoever's donating the most to her. Who
So-
knows? I allegedly. Let me
but
just throw that out there.
the point is, the Supreme Court never should have ruled on it because it's not in the Constitution. It had nothing to do with the Supreme Court. It was the states' right. They just fixed that. That's all that happened. They fixed it. So it went back to the states. Some states will outlaw it. Some states won't.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Said that
Agreed.
they should never have done it that way.
Yeah.
Now, but like I said, right now, the Democrats, right, the saviors of everything.
Well, that's what they're doing for weapons, right, or gun legislation.
they're trying to.
We just talked about it earlier. Another legislation they're trying to pass to.
And if, in Biden's own words, if they don't do it, I'll do it. As far as the climate emergency stuff, So, but no, you run the House, you run the Senate, you run the presidency. Then you know what? Then pass a law. If you're so pissed off about it, pass a law, because that's what you do. You're lawmakers, that you can have an abortion at whatever. Which would
You talk about this topic quite a bit. This topic really bothers you.
yes,
The whole
because they're
Supreme Court stacking / Roe v. Wade.
because they're just a bunch of liars that
Well, no, they got to generate rhetoric. That's all they do.
Exactly.
Like, for everything.
they're big hypocrites.
They can spend money like they have it, and it's not their own, and that they're going to get a kickback, maybe, possibly.
Like all these people,
But they can't pass legislation that agrees with 68% of the country right now, says we're going in the wrong direction. So they're all focused on the wrong stuff.
they don't care. It's just reality. They don't care, and it's a double standard. We get pissed at our kids that whine and cry they don't get their way, and we say it's this generation, but that generation is what, before the baby boomer? I don't know. That generation is whining and crying they didn't get their way on something, so now they want to either stack the Supreme Court or, well, I think we should just have term limits so that every 2 years we elect a new one. It's ridiculous.
I mean, but these debates have been going on for a long time. Anytime something gets struck down that someone cares about, this comes up. And obviously, I'm not being totally dismissive about it, because crazy things have been going on over the last 10 years, taxing you for health insurance like that.
That's the only way they managed to get it
I don't.
passed.
Does it talk about taxes in the Constitution?
I don't believe so.
I don't think it does either. So, again,
We don't-
even the Supreme Court picks and chooses depending on the makeup of it. So, like, sometimes, quote unquote, conservatives get their way, and other times, quote unquote, leftist liberals get their way. It's just the nature of the beast. It's called, you don't always get what you want. There's a song about it.
Yeah. I just want people to realize that and wake up the fact that they're trying to blame these justices for what happened, when in reality is
Well, it's because they're trying to change the makeup of our country, because they
Right.
don't like the fact that
they hate our
these
country.
9 people can be like, yeah, that's communism, and that doesn't fly with a constitutional republic, so strike it down. Because they've been striking down, not just the Supreme Court, a lot of courts have been striking down stuff that,
Lots of stuff. Just letting illegals flow through the country like nothing. Supreme Court's been going after that with the Biden administration many, many times.
well, I mean, Kamala is in charge of the border, so everything's going well down there, because we got our best, our top, and our brightest on it.
I have Fauci in the news. which goes great with my shirt.
Let's say Fauci lied.
Fauci lied.
About what? I mean, he changes the
Everything.
story every time he gets interviewed on a Sunday talk show.
So here's the newest
You
thing.
could find all of his contradictions. Again, I don't know why you would trust this guy.
Yeah, if you trust this guy still, then
Yeah, like you.
oh.
I
Like
got some
Stockholm
beachfront
syndrome.
property for you. And
yeah, Arizona. So Fauci claims he didn't recommend locking anything down over COVID, but the internet never forgets. So yesterday he said, I didn't recommend locking down anything. Okay. In October 2020, I recommended to the president that we shut down the country. Huh.
yeah, the internet's going to be all of our downfalls because everybody will be able to prove, like anything that we say on this show, anybody can pull up until it's removed. But even still, YouTube will have it in their archives. But you know what I mean? Like, that's the downfall of all their lies is,
They don't go away.
no.
So, I mean, he's lied about everything.
I don't even know why anybody would trust him. He's like a snake oil salesman that you would see in the westerns going town to town with his bottles of elixir.
And for those that don't know, Fauci's the one that handled the AIDS crisis or whatever you want to call it back in the 80s, okay? And I literally remember as a kid, like my parents used to, like, I remember like hearing so much, like, careful, you could get AIDS. You know, don't touch the toys, all these things. He was the one responsible for all that stuff. And just
No,
like,
he's a rock star for it. He hobnobs with all the celebrities. They jet set around the country before COVID.
I mean,
with
they
the whole AIDS
they blamed
benefit crowd.
they blamed AIDS on homosexuals, just like who tried to blame monkeypox on homosexuals.
Well, I mean, they still say that, but yet we have our first 2 cases of kids having it. So how does that happen?
Right. And you have to, but the thing with the monkeypox, you have to physically touch somebody to get it. So if they're like, hey, you want to touch my weird rash?
Well, you know, I have so many issues with everything that they say because you can find, because everything's on the internet. That's why like people are, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, no, because today they said this, tomorrow they may say this, and so when I sit there and say these two don't line up, that doesn't make me a conspiracy theorist. That makes me an astute observer of the words that they're saying and the implications that their words mean. And you can make inferences off of those. That's how life works. So if you say this, like he said in October, lock it down, and then yesterday he says, I never said that. You're a liar. Therefore, who knows what you've been saying is the truth.
Yeah.
You know, that's not like a little white lie of like, oh, you look great today or whatever. Like, this is like he's blatantly lying. He could have went and said, wait a second, let's see if I said that, just like we do. He could have pulled out his cell phone and double-checked himself because there's enough stuff written about him over the last 30 years, really, but, 2.5 over this COVID stuff.
How would he not know the things he said?
Because he just says whatever, I'm sure. Think about it. They have his emails where he tells his friends, like, don't worry about wearing a mask. Just wash your hands, do everything that you all normally do. And those emails are out there. So this isn't a lie. I'm not making this up. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. He told his friends that. And then he told all the rest of us, you need to wear a mask or you're going to kill everybody. And so then when I don't wear a mask, people look at me as if I am a pariah upon society. But it's like, no, he said this to his friends that he didn't think necessarily was going to get published. And so he's putting out different guidance to the public than what he's telling his friends. Just like Kamala Harris doesn't follow the quote-unquote CDC guidelines, no one else in this country should either. Like, it's that simple. If the vice president doesn't do it, no one has to do it. And don't ever try to tell me that I have to do it, because when I sit there and say Kamala Harris didn't do it, what are you going to say to me? Don't be like her, but then you're going to go vote for her? And you know what I'm saying? So, like, that's what's wrong with this country, is people don't take people at their word. You know what I mean? Like, you set the example, Kamala. Whether it's inconvenient for you like it is for everybody else, that's why people like me are like, nope, not doing it, because you're not doing it. Because you want to tell me what to do and how to live my life, then you better live your life better than what you expect me to. Because the first time I see you not doing it, then that gives me every justification to not do it.
Well, that's one more Fauci thing.
Anyway, I don't have anything else to say about that. If the
No.
vice president doesn't do it, if the ex-president and his party on the Hamptons or wherever he was, Martha's Vineyard, if none of them
During
are doing
COVID,
it during COVID, then why are you? Like, wake up, people. It's a scam scheme to make you scared. Now we'll be kicked off the internet. You're
Fauci.
welcome. We'll be on Rumble starting tomorrow.
Fauci also was the one that pushed the whole, get a vaccination, you can't get COVID. Then it was, what was it?
Yeah,
Second vaccination, and then, you still get it, but it's not as bad, and blah, 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 blah.
You won't get hospitalized, and now you can go out there, and I won't say it just in case we're still safe from the censors and the cancelers, but you can go look it up. You can go look up and see how effective it is and see what ratio of those who have received it and those who haven't are hospitalized and or succumbing to it. Those facts, those are out there. Like, you can go find them.
Wait until the facts start to come out about people and the effects of getting that shot. Eventually it'll come out. It has to.
Well, I saw...
Like all these athletes. No. Nothing to see, folks.
Well, there's like an article published in The Guardian. Again, that could be like a horrible newspaper over in the UK, but it was basically 300,000 people have heart conditions that they don't know about. So now all of a sudden there's 300,000 people up to with undiagnosed heart conditions that could lead to, sudden death. Randomly. It's climate change. Because it's so hot this week that your heart started beating improperly and damaged the muscle tissue in there because you got hot today. Even though, like 8 years ago when it was the same temperature or a degree less, it didn't happen to you. But this year, you've seen those, right? There's articles out there saying that climate change is leading to people having heart attacks.
They're trying to blame everything on climate change, just so they can shove this down your throat.
Well, no, I mean, they also blamed changing out a bed sheet. Like, you can have a heart attack from making your bed. To be careful while making your bed, that you can have a heart attack. There's an article out there on that. It could have been written by, sarcastically by like a Babylon Bee type of thing, but I don't think it is.
But this is why people don't trust doctors anymore or anybody. Like, you can't. How could you trust anyone that more and more information comes out there? They're a bunch of liars and it's about money.
It's always about money and power.
Like, doctors get paid to push these drugs. It's not a secret.
Yeah, I mean, there's video. You can watch how they did it on Hulu with Michael Keaton. I forget, is it Dope Sick or whatever the name of the series is, but it's about the opioid crisis and it shows you how incestuous the relationship between the FDA and the pharmaceutical companies are.
Yeah.
And they rely on the pharmaceuticals research. They don't do their own.
Right. They just...
So the pharmaceutical companies, they test the products. They present these results, and then they are like, oh, yeah, it looks good. We'll approve that.
Well, the thing is, like, my old doctor who got out of medicine once it started to become so much paperwork, he's like, I'm done. This is not what I signed up for. Spend most of my time doing paperwork. And then
yeah, because they have all kinds of codes on you now.
Yes. And he was just like, I'm done. But so he said in medical school, all they do is teach you what med to prescribe for what. They don't teach you how to, solve anything. It's just, they have this issue, give them this med, this issue. Like, so you have the pharmaceutical companies.
Well, there's no money in getting you healthy. Like,
exactly. Why do you think they don't ever push that
because
stuff?
they should get rid of high fructose corn syrup. I'm an anti-high fructose corn
water
syrup.
today, I noticed that.
I'm trying to get back into the zone because I'm about to have tomatoes that I can snack on instead of eating chips or whatever garbage is around during the winter.
It's
I lost like 10 pounds last year changing up my snacking from whatever was in the house to fruits and vegetables from the garden. 10 pounds. I mean, I put it back on over the winter, but
You're like a bear.
just got to
Store for the
hibernate
winter.
and get stored up.
All right, I'm gonna save the other story for tomorrow, and then or
Well,
pause.
if we're on tomorrow, we talked about some.
What? Fine. Yeah, for some reason, if we disappear, Rumble doesn't edit you. We'll have to get on there. This quote is from John Quincy Adams. Third president?
JQ? I don't know. He's one of the first couple.
Yeah,
You want me to look it up so you know?
I do.
John Quincy.
Quincy was the dad, or was he the sixth president? So he was the son of John something Adams. Samuel? John. Who was this?
You would think it would say right here under.
You think it would?
I don't know. Anyway, would you say he was the sixth? You saw it on there?
Yeah, sixth president.
Oh, it's right there.
Who was the second one then? That was John Adams, right?
You think I would know, studying American politics?
I should know these things.
Yeah.
John Adams. So, okay. See?
That would make sense because you add the Quincy to separate the two.
Yes. See? I just didn't know exactly, but I had basic knowledge of it. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Yeah, none of those seem to fit anything from today's leaders.
Well, I mean, some of their actions inspire others to do more, right?
That's very true. Just the opposite of what they're pushing.
Right.
I mean, that's why we're doing a show, right? I mean,
Well, that's why I always have these conversations, and I'm like, they're not leaders, they're politicians.
yes. That's-
Leaders, in the case of what I talked about earlier with Kamala not following the right procedures that they're telling all of us to do, a leader would do that because they know that people are watching them and they're going to emulate what they do and how they act. And so, first and foremost, she should have been, even if she disagrees with it, but yet the administration's take on it is this, then she needs to act whatever the administration is saying. Otherwise, people like me are going to be like, I'll never do that now.
Yeah.
Like, whatever she violated, I don't even really care about it that much to even know the whole story, other than the fact that she didn't wear a mask and didn't, keep distance from people, because she hugged somebody or something, and then gave a speech. So if I come into contact with somebody with COVID and I don't have it, I will not wear a mask because she did not. I'll go up and hug somebody face to face. Yeah, I don't really hug people, but you know what I mean? Like, if she were a leader, though, if she were a leader, she would do the right thing that she's telling everybody else to do. So therefore, she is not a leader. Therefore, you don't have to do whatever she's saying because she doesn't even do it. That's how it works.
You also don't have to do what she's saying because this is a free country. No one's supposed to tell you what to do. Really.
Well, yeah. Well, but I'm saying, like, aside from
saying.
that, but also for those who are like, yeah, the greater good. Well, the greater good isn't that important because our own politicians that
Listen.
that are making these rules up don't
Do
believe
as
it.
I say, not as I do.
I mean, we all have moments, right, where we do that, but this isn't the first time where.
No, like when Biden comes off the Air Force One, gets to the bottom of the steps, rips his mask off on the camera, and then like hugs somebody.
Yeah, it's.
So let's sum up the show, okay? Let's go, Brandon. And Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. And Ghislaine Maxwell didn't kill herself.
When we want the client list and we want action to be taken.
Yeah.
Rid our society of these pariahs,
Yeah, because one of my stories.
criminals,
One of my
abusers,
stories for tomorrow
allegedly.
is about the FBI and the joke they are, too. So, because I think my 2-year-old probably could do a better job than most of these people.
It goes back to pride. And I think that we're seeing that with the people leaving, allegedly, the CDC and the FDA.
And then
FBI, yeah, NIH. So I might have added one in there that wasn't in that article because I think they just mentioned two.
No, sir. FDA, CDC,
So
NIH.
journalists should be leaving, which there are some. Like I said, you got to go to Substack to find, generally speaking, journalists that are trying to get to the bottom of things. And there's still going to be biases, right? But
Yeah.
it's not corporate driven. It's driven by their desire to search for truth. And, you got to, anyway, I'm just rambling on, but careful who you trust. Everybody makes mistakes. It's not a zero defect country or whatever, but I don't think I've seen Kamala apologize for violating her own rules, right? Maybe she has.
No.
I doubt. Because a lot of times they don't ever admit when they're wrong. That's the other thing. Is like, you want to be a real person with honor, value, and integrity, admit when you were wrong.
True.
And try to do better next time. Because we all make mistakes. We all mess everything up. We're human. That's what makes us so crazy.
True.
Anyway.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Get out, enjoy the day. It's supposed to be nice out. And
I wasn't even going to talk today.
yeah, see, I told you. Yeah, I'm like, how do I get you fired up so you talk? Because you're just like, it works. Nothing to it. All right, guys. If we don't see you around town, we will talk to you tomorrow.